Just so much.
Right there.
But like, you know, like, oh yeah, we gotta like take a photo someday.
All right, 6 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order. First order of business is the pledge of the flag. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's nice. Review and approve the minutes of August 2nd.
So moved.
So a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? That is everybody. Members reports, we'll start with Lindsay. Ron, you good? Chucky? And Kelsey? And nothing from me, so we'll dive right into the town manager's report.
All right, the office will close Monday the 2nd for Labor Day. The airport taxi lane project, which is you drive in the gate to the right side, in between those hangars, that had a forecasted start date of September 26th. But there were concerns from the contractor and the consultant about being able to complete the project with paving in sufficient time before winter. And the pavement then effectively not being warranted. So I attempted to negotiate liquid damages in terms of delays on the contract to say, if you could just get us where you can get us, and then come back in the spring, repair and pave, can we do that? And they all said no. So long and short of it is, unfortunately for those hangar owners over there, that project is not going to start until things dry out in the spring of 2025. The contract. The contract has been signed for the new snow blower at the airport. The local share of that blower is 5%, which is about $5,000. Yes, almost $100,000 worth of snow blower, plus the cost of grant administration, for which we'll pay 5%. The delivery date on that is unknown, but the vendor has up to 180 days to deliver under the terms of the contract. That is been an ongoing process to acquire that because of the Buy American waiver that was required in order to get a piece of equipment that we needed. So that's where we're at the airport. Taxes were committed back on the 8th at a rate of $10.35 per thousand. So that mill rate is down largely. Tax bills went up slightly for those that were enrolled in the stabilization program. Last year, that program ended. And so unfortunately, then you saw the 2 clicks last year's and then this year's increase, which for some folks represented a 20 to 30% increase, which is really difficult. So that's going to be something that we're going to end up having to focus on the back quarter, coordinating for somebody to come in and provide those folks that may not otherwise file for tax return to file those and be able to access the property tax fairness credit, which was extended the qualification parameters by the state in lieu of the program that they just could not fund. So we'll keep an eye on that and keep folks posted when that becomes available. KV-COG, I've reached out to them, that's Kennebec Valley Council of Governments, to get an estimate on progressively completing an ordinance review or ordinance reviews, and start with our subdivision ordinance and our shoreline zoning ordinance, which are not really in compliance with what the state expects, and then kind of make our way through. The idea there is they would provide us with suggested updates, interface with the planning board, and then be ready to explain and then put those forth to the voters for consideration. Largely something like subdivision or shoreline, the state's going to govern anyway, but we really need to get those into compliance. So I'm working on trying to get price estimates from them. The planning board will meet on September 12th. The TIF committee will meet on September 24th at 5. 2 CDs matured out of Scouting and Savings Bank this last week. Those have now been rolled over at a negotiated 5% for a 5-month investment, which should represent about $43,000 in interest earnings over that 5-month period. Waste management check came in last week. That was $143,000. Year to date, we're at $773,000 versus $652,000 at the same time last year. Insurance dividends from the municipal, that's workers' comp and property casualty came in. 2625, that's down last year, but that's down for everybody in the pool. Trustees will meet on the 22nd at the library. The IT vendor, spoke with him this morning regarding the remote surveillance of the parking area at Usula Park. The request is difficult because we don't want the expense of bringing electricity over, but we do want some sort of oversight, the solar ability and the ability to remote monitor as opposed to like a game cam function. So he's working on that. It's not going to be the perfect piece of equipment and it won't interface with our current technology I don't think, in order to be able to get the best result that we can within a reasonable price range. So he's gonna roll that proposal up to me and we can review that at a future date, but really far from ideal. He really wanted to see electricity put over there, and that's just cost prohibitive at that point in time.
Do we have any lights over, like, I've never been there at nighttime, but like, what do we have for lighting in the park to?
It's very limited. Now, mind you, we don't own that side of the road. We don't own the parking field. That's
Yeah.
Florida Power and Light, Avangrid, Central
Yeah.
Power. So we have a couple spotlights that are on our side of Ferry Road that throw light over there. And that's about this.
I mean, that might be something that we explore like further out. I mean, if we're gonna run electricity, like having things lit up, and if it's not our property still, if like the people who do own it are okay with that, just seems like that'd be a good idea, but we just keep investing more, like why don't we just make it less of a trip hazard, people like,
Yeah, we'll explore that, and the Parks Committee is working on different things. They got the message loud and clear last year that they want a plan. They're not gonna put a plan together, but they are gonna have some ideas that interconnect, that they'll be able to progressively chip away at. So, Usula Park Music Series, last night was another good night down to the park. Their last night will be next Tuesday, and then the 1st and the 2nd of September is Usula Days, Sunday at the airport, Monday downtown. Juicy J out on Waterville Road across from Bigelow Hill. He's holding an all-day Saturday thing of his own. We're supporting it. He's asked us to sort of consult on it. He's gonna have formal oversized Jenga, oversized Connect 4, live music, arts and crafts for the kids, tie dyeing, build your own birdhouse, that kind of stuff.
that's cool.
And then he's gonna run meal specials. So, yeah, it's a marketing game by him, but you know, the fact he's coming out and trying to extend it a day in advance, great.
Yeah.
So we're supporting that. And that should hopefully be a good day, and it'll be, no matter what the weather is gonna be there, it's just a matter of to what scale if the weather is poor. The ATV trail from the fire department has been posted publicly. Quick sheets are available here, full doc is available online. Those are due back by September 12th, so the department can review that and make a recommendation for your September 18th meeting. I have a FEMA meeting tomorrow. That's just a progress update on our existing applications. And then next week, a site visit to Upper Main Street to again review that damage, talk about hazard mitigation and my attempt to get a larger section of the guardrail replaced and or stabilized where it's sagging now down towards the river. That will be a difficult feat for us to be able to get all of that captured, but I'm gonna give it a try. Other than that, it's gonna be costly. And we'll talk another massive bank stabilization project if we can't do anything there. The contractor on Sandy River Road, that's Bedard Excavation out of South Paris. They are making great headway out there on the Sandy River Road, right near Fording Road. There were no road closures, so that's good. If everything goes well, they're gonna be completed next week. We're waiting on a final approval for a wall plan for Father Wow Road. That's supposed to be in at the end of the day today. We're hoping that our engineer can approve that before the end of this week, which then gets next week for delivery of materials, and they would begin Father Wow Road the week of Labor Day, and hopefully have that wrapped up within 10 days. So that's moving along nicely. Those are two projects that should be covered by the congressionally directed spending funds and not out of the reserve. We've also given the go-ahead on the second round of roadside mowing under the current contract. The water district, not us, but in general, beginning their work on Main Street. And in preparation for that, you probably saw, there were concerns about bleach smell in the water and whatnot. They did begin preventative, proactive chlorination at 0.5 parts per million. The maximum is 5 parts per million, so they're ways off from that. But it's all preventative in the event that there's a contamination. So that's what that is there, and once we were made aware of it, and I was back in the office, we sent out through our text and sent out through social media and the website, so you keep folks posted there. If anything changes, soccer signups now open, that's until September 1st, that's 100% online this year. And then the sewer commission will meet next Monday at 4:30 on a proposed abatement policy and form, and the goal of that is to formalize the process for people to submit it, request for their abatement, what we require for documentation, and the process for the commission to review it. So that's long overdue, and hopefully we'll handle that at the end of next week.
Do we have, with the soccer signups being all online, things like that, are we doing, I'm guessing we probably have it on the electronic sign or on the sign that's down near the fields. Are we getting like any sort of handouts for the school so it can come back for?
Yes, and
Okay.
we have the iPad here that's all set up, so if you don't have
Okay.
access to technology, you're able to sign up
Yeah.
there.
All right.
and the
I
library.
just want to make sure like it gets distributed to kids, like where they're gonna be back and forth, that way they have the opportunity to do that in case a parent doesn't know to look at it.
Yeah, no,
The
right.
town website.
Okay, sweet, thank you. Number 6 here, discussion action on general warrant number 14.
I move to approve general warrant number 14 in the amount of $249,076.39.
So a motion and a second, any discussion? Only thing I had was the golf carts. Is that what I see there?
The golf carts are for Sula days, so those are gonna be primarily for use at the airport, for setup, takedown, and shuttle service. To get people from further down the airport road, and then they're also gonna be used. Yep. And then there's 2, we wanted 6 passengers, we can only get 4, but we figured better than nothing. That'll also help get hangar owners, people needing vehicular access to their hangars. I prohibited that, I wrote that off, I should have said that earlier. No vehicles moving in the gate between 7 and 3 on that Sunday.
Nice.
Unhappy folks, but that's fine, we can ride the golf carts with an escort. And then it's also going to be how we get the grand marshals down Main Street, they'll be taking those golf carts.
No, nice, thank you.
What is the inclusion solutions?
Inclusion solutions of the voting booths.
Oh, okay, all right. Yep, all right.
Those have already been delivered.
Nice, anything else? Seeing nothing, all those in favor? That's everybody. Discussion action on airport warrant number 8.
I move to approve warrant number 8 in the amount of $53,801.79.
So a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Are we getting that $47,000 back?
95% of it. And we have that in, we received all of the reimbursements before we paid.
Never, that's just a design.
That's just the design of just like a flat parking lot road type thing?
It's a portion of the consultant / engineer's fee related to that project.
Right, the price tag, do we know what it is on that? I thought I heard the number.
That one's pretty, I don't know exactly. I have to look it up.
Wow, they don't give it away, do they?
No, they do not, they do not.
But,
All right, all those in favor?
Ah,
It's everyone. Public comment. Cricket?
You forgot one thing.
Oh, yes, I don't know why we do that. Discussion action on August 21st sewer commitment.
Move to approve the sewer commitment in the amount of $19,234.
So motion and a second. Any discussion? Everybody? Now we'll hit public comment. Still?
We're gaining ground, I'm telling you now, before more first one bill, you're going down.
I mean, last time that was missing, I said call to a vote to remove it, and nobody did anything, so I mean, like, it was there.
That was my favorite.
I was just gonna say that the text system, I like it. You're not getting buried with a bunch of text, but you get your notices and if you're interested, sign up if you have it.
I've actually been signed up, so I don't think I have it yet.
They're actually really great. I think the best part of it, and so people understand, is that you can choose what you want to sign up for. So if you don't have public water and don't need to know about any sort of chlorination in there, you don't sign up. It's like, you can pick what you're interested in. It's kind of great. A la carte.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is fantastic.
Okay, number 10, discussion action on sidewalk road maintenance equipment.
All right, we had discussed this at the last meeting. This is what was on the ballot, back in the end of July. And there was confusion in-house, Richard, with the price proposals offered by HP Fairfield. And then they also provided us a secondary joint purchasing proposal, as well, that reduced that price slightly. In the course of all of that, we were, I'll say, solicited by Allied Equipment out of Heartland, which is, I've since learned, I guess maybe a HP Fairfield spinoff. Former stakeholders now are stakeholders in this organization, and they've come to us with a multi-hog unit, which provides us with the same abilities. Skowhegan has one older model. We've got Winslow and Saco that have them as well. Rodney, did you go by yourself?
No, I took Robert.
Okay, Robert from Public Works, they went up to Skowhegan to check it out. They had conversations with Skowhegan folks. They had conversations with Jason from Allied. And they liked the piece of equipment. We had our questions about warranties special tires and things like that, which could fall within the standard operating budget for those types of upgrades. But, pardon?
Width, that was my big thing, width. That bridge is hard to get across. So, that was my main concern.
And then we had parts availability and ability to service. And they will complete most, if not all, of the service right there or here. And they keep on shelf commonly turnover parts that we might need in terms of service. They said if we needed a compressor or something like that, we might get a commission for 10 days, but that they would be able to get a pretty quick turnaround on it. It was just cost prohibitive for them to keep those kind of items on their shelf.
They provide any sort of a loaner, something like that, that was gonna be an extended duration of being down it, where they are somewhat local, do they have any capacity to like provide us with something to muddle us through, or no?
I did not ask that question. I mean, I'm sure that they could or would, or
Yeah.
we would just end up using another piece of equipment.
Right.
To pacify our way through like we've had to in the past.
Right.
And we're not getting rid of this track. That we
Right,
have.
good.
I don't think it's the
No.
plan.
No,
I
I
think
don't
the
think
plan is to repurpose it in a different department for
Okay.
better use. And so having that is just a redundancy, far from
Yeah.
ideal redundancy, but something that doesn't leave us high and dry on Main Street. Do you have any other?
No, I was gonna say about the trash dirt, because I wanna be able to keep the broom. And I know it'll cost more to put a broom on this new piece, but that tractor I can use when they're not using it in summertime to sweep my intersections with. So, you know what I mean? It's that, we won't have to buy a broom, in other words, add more money to this new device. So, just make sure it's gonna keep it handy, that's all.
So the recommendation from the department and administration is to authorize the purchase of a multi-hawk CXMG2 multi-purpose tool carrier with attachments as proposed from Allied Equipment in the amount of $184,950.
So moved.
So motion and second, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's everybody. Thank you for going and looking at that, I appreciate
I
it.
appreciate you guys going for it, because that little tractor was a hard thing for you guys to deal with. I myself never had to do it, but I watched him struggle with that little lawn tractor trying to snowblow sidewalks.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? I did.
yeah, thank you.
Sorry. Does everybody know Rodney Grant, our
I was
public
here.
works foreman? I don't know if everybody knows, but Rodney's the head now.
Yeah.
Good. And Willis on the right, green shirt, is your sub foreman at Public Works. Willis Living. Sorry, thank you.
No.
Sing us a song.
Number 11 here, discussion action on donation of fire safety trailer. I will defer to the chief.
So, you probably all know, our fire safety trailer, it's a pull behind 28, maybe 30-foot trailer that we built in early 90s, largely, not largely, completely from donations from people. And more businesses really than people. We've had that now for near 30 years. And it needs a lot of work. It needs a lot of labor and material. And it's just not something that we're up for. However, Canaan, town of Canaan, borrows it more than any other town. Actually, probably borrows it more than all the other towns put together. And some winters in Canaan, just because of convenience, they got the space. They've expressed an interest, they have the time, and they have the money set aside to take it over, relabel it Canaan, leave the thank you messaging for the businesses and things. Those are largely Somerset County all over, including Canaan and Skowhegan and others. Not, they weren't specific to Norridgewock. Take it over, upgrade it, fix it, repair it, use it, keep it, own it, and continue the tradition that we started, which is loan it out to other towns as they want to. And so, since they have the interest, the time, and the money, and we'd still have the use of it when we wanted, the Firemen's Association was unanimous in voting to donate that to the Canaan Fire Department. However, there's a small glitch there. There's no town money in the thing, but we did technically give it to the town 30 years ago when we were done with it, so that we could, town could register and insure it. And so it felt the right thing to do is to ask this board to concur with the association with the recommendation of donating it to Canaan. And I don't think it's necessary, but I'm fine with putting a stipulation on it that, we could schedule to use it at no charge, just like they have for years with us. I don't think that stipulation would need to be in writing, but I think it's a fair thing to ask, since how you're giving them something. They have the time, the money, the space, the desire to bring that current, and it's 30 years old and it's really run down, and there's nothing on it that doesn't need attention. Brakes, tires, the leveling jacks. It's just a lot of things that it needs. They've got the interest in the money, and that's what we'd like to do, and we'd like to ask for you to concur.
So is it a training type of, like, what is it used for? Like
well,
it's,
Public education.
okay,
Public education. So if your kid, it's smoke trailer, so it has a simulated kitchen area, in a simulated bedroom area. And we have in a control room. And within the control room, there's video, and then you can turn on the smoke, and you use a latex smoke machine, which is pretty common these days. And you can smoke the thing up, and you have evacuation fans, and there's a phone where the kids can call 911, and the person in the control room, says 911, can I help you? And, it's a good tool.
Oh, yeah.
When it's
Oh,
all
super cool. It really
yeah,
is.
when it's all up and running, and it needs a lot of work. And
I went through it out at school, at the airport.
you might have gone through it as a kid.
No.
I was not part of my tour.
Yeah,
yeah, it wasn't part, it hasn't been part of the
You know
recent. like,
what?
fire-
it's in Canaan.
Oh,
So,
30 years ago, I wasn't a kid.
but it seems to make sense to us. It made sense to us as an association, and makes sense to the officers, and we ask you to concur. We still have the use of it during scheduled times. We just have to call and schedule it with Canaan, much like they've been doing with us for 30 years.
Someone want to make a motion?
Oh, well, I think the only thing that I would want to make sure that we are, I mean, you'd said that they had made the verbal agreement that we do put something in writing that we do have access to it. And then maybe something too where it is being gifted, that there's some sort of stipulation that if they've run their course with it and then maybe they're not gonna use it, that it then, if it's able to be, gets gifted to somewhere else, so it's not like sold or just like what, I'd like to see it keep, if it has life, to keep giving once it's past whatever they want, that we
Yeah, I'd
keep
rather
that.
see them give it to Solon
Exactly, that's,
than sell it to Bangor, if that's
Yes.
the point.
I think that's what I'm saying, it's like, it's kind of like a,
Someone want to make that?
I don't,
we can't do that, like,
I mean, given a gift, you could request,
we just put the nature of this gift is that it keeps on educating people without cost to taxpayers, maybe sort of like, we want to keep it community-based and accessible to
and
everyone.
certainly that's their intent today.
Okay,
We can work on, we'll have to write them a letter.
We'll
We
draft
can
it up.
work on some.
I just think that, like, if we're
Yeah.
giving it to them, like, if they put a little bit of money in and then they turn around and sell it, that feels kind of like, ugh. We can't do anything, but like, it'd be great if, just like everything else, we're lucky we get really nice stuff, and we give our stuff that we maybe are like, yeah, we're gonna pass it down to you, and then if they pass down to someone else, I think that's the.
Yeah, I mean, certainly that's not their intent today. Their intent today is to operate it just like they've been operating it for 30 years. With the word Canaan superimposed over the word Norridgewock. But that, their mission could change,
Yeah.
their department could change their, whatever, you don't know. The selectmen could change, whatever.
Yeah.
So we can work on some wording for a letter, I
We'll
suppose.
put it on a letter with the
Yeah,
sale.
I'm sure they're gonna do everything the right way, I have no doubt of that, but you never know, next year they can get someone on board and we give it away and they turn around, sell it for 10 grand, and be like, we probably should have sold that. Because
Their
we always have bills at the fire department to pay, like that's,
stated plan to me is that, they want to fix it all up, continue to loan it out, because no one department, including Norridgewock, can get the maximum use out of that in
Yeah.
just one town, or in our case, two
Yeah.
towns. It has to be a traveling roadshow just to be worth it.
Yeah.
And their stated goal is to run it exactly like we have for the last 30 years.
That's just what I'd like to see versus not just being.
Yeah. I take a motion. For sure.
I move that we allow the fire department, the Firemen's Association to donate that apparatus to the town of Canaan with said stipulations communicated to them.
Good, so motion and a second, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's everybody?
Next.
Thank you, yeah, right on, that's great. Discussion action on Parks and Rec position.
You had in your packet a draft job description posting. The title on it probably can use a lot of work, in terms of really where we want something like this to go, if there's support for it. But we see activities within the recreation department. We have one person that is very generously and over affordably coordinating all of our youth programs. And is looking to step away from that. And how do we transition in? We've worked with the rec committee to try to piece that together. And it's a bigger role, how we're treating it now. So that kind of starts the brainstorming session of what do we do, where to go? And what are there for other opportunities to either back things or to back things off from staff and also allow specialized staff to focus on their core. So whether that's me not having to go and coordinate a music series, or my public works foreman not having to go and follow up behind a contractor that did a project for the town that normally maybe would fall into that. This person, in my mind, theoretically could shoulder some of that. So to try to get discussion moving, I think, we need to talk about, is there support for something like this? And if there is, what do you folks see as duties that would be included in something like this? Obviously, in this labor environment, you're looking for somebody that would probably be full-time and benefited. In my mind, it would shoulder the recreation, not just for the youth, but look to expand your adult recreation. We already have pickleball, there's discussion about tennis and things like that. Is there an opportunity there to then dovetail into the parks, all the public events that they're doing more and more and more of? Recreation for adults, things that you see a lot of in other towns, Freiburg Fair bus trips or trips to the mall or things where it's coordinated, low cost. Not even subsidized, but just coordinated for folks to be able to get out. So those types of things, I look at something like building oversight, like the actual physical plant. Somebody that's able to go around and tally that and maybe call and get price quotes, take that out of public works or take it off from my desk. To allow me to focus on more of the skilled things that you hired me to do, and the same for public works. Let them be on the road to deal with, infrastructure. So I kind of put together a bony job description. So I think the first place is gauge your perspective on it. Is there value? Is it a full-time value? If there is, then what do you see for duties? And then talk about the duties potentially that could be included in this, and then ultimately to affix a dollar amount onto this, to see if that's something that you can sustain, or in any particular order that you want to take that out. So for your consideration.
I mean, I'll jump in. I think this is a fantastic idea. I think that this could actually be a nice bridge from something that we tried in the past, we're unsuccessful in finding like an economic development person. It kind of seems like, yes, but then also maybe coming up with new programs, executing things, bringing new opportunities. So, I think of obviously parks, but then we've got library, we've got all kinds of other things where if there was a person that had time dedicated to it and the ability to help those committees make events, make things happen, I think that it just seems like it's a win-win for an enormous amount of community members, not just kids, not just, the elderly, but like kind of everybody. I feel like there's a little, having it be a rec position, I think is sort of a narrow view on what this position could actually hold for possibilities, for development, helping business development. You think about even if they're just helping with the TIP committee, you know, again, volunteers, so it's, you know, if they can help them and do legwork for them, so it makes their meetings easier and more effective, or help bring opportunities to them because they're actively seeking those things out. I mean, I think this is, you know, Richard, it's gonna take some stuff off of your plate, which I think needs to happen, because you can't put 100% into 9,000 things, so I think this can take some of those other things off and allow things that have been, you know, only moderately explored, and let them really kind of expand and kind of run. I think it's, if we can find the right person, I think this would be really amazing for a lot of departments, for sure. So I'm for it. I don't know what we name it. I think it's like community outreach director, or like, you know, yeah, Norridgewock opportunity assessor. I don't know. It's, I feel like it's, let's make Norridgewock awesome, like a person that's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really. I mean, I'm for it too. I mean, really, everything you said and more. Just, there's a lot of possibilities there. And I think, like you said, the right person could do a lot with this.
Yeah.
So I'm certainly there. I don't know if these are all the requirements, or, yeah, I just, yeah, certainly beyond me to come up with it, but yeah, I mean, I think you're on the right track with what you've got here. And then maybe, I don't know if everybody does some brainstorming, or you reach out to some other people, or, yeah, I think it's definitely there as far as interest from the board to have somebody coordinate all this stuff as to where we really are trying to, I don't want to say next level, everything we do, but I'm really trying to improve
Like, I really do think
everything.
that's, I think that should be our goal. Like, I think that we should be
Yeah.
trying, like, we've got so many things that are just like, have gotten really good and so much better each year. I know since I've been here and like what I've seen, but like, there's only so much you can do with the manpower that you have. And like, I think adding something like this, and from like a funding apparatus, I think that not narrowly making this like a rec department, I think where this is a position that potentially could benefit and aid so many of the other, it becomes a multi, you know, unit funding source. You know, rec might be, their budget might account for 30% of this person's, you know, salary, but like, I mean, even the cemetery committee, like a small amount, but like, what can they do for that? Could they be finding different opportunities and different things for that? The historical site, it just seems like we can kind of fund from everywhere, so it's not just like, wow, we're dumping more money from the rec in there, like it's still funding, but I think that it can come from multiple sources, so that it feels a little less painful to, you know, taxpayers, and people don't have kids that play soccer or something like that. I think it's having it funding from everywhere also puts in that ownership of making sure that we're addressing all of those other types of departments, making sure that they're getting attention to by funding it that way. That would be my recommendation with that, not just having it be like a rec funded position.
But like, can we afford it? And like, I mean, I'm very interested.
Richard's paying for it.
Oh, I'm just taking it out of Richard's salary. Okay. Well, and then like with more programming, I feel like will come more costs, so just like curious what that
Would this
will look
go
like.
on the ballot?
No.
So customarily, something like this would be a part of the budget proposal.
Yeah.
So if we rolled out, say, back 3 months of this year, then that would be, say, a trial period, and then you run the first half. You don't have to find an alternate funding source. So you could look at the TIF and say, hey, do you think that there's merit to funding this for 2 months or 4 months, or would be 5 months if you're in November, December through March on a trial basis. But a new position, though, wouldn't necessarily go through a town vote. It wouldn't go through a town vote. The funding for the new position would.
What would that be rolled into? Recreation or what? You're talking about all these other.
So to me, I mean, we can talk about how you bill to each department, but to me, you're gonna see the removal of, I mean, you're not really gonna see a lot of removal. There's gonna be some money come out of the rec budget, very minimal, to be honest with you. And then the rest of it's just building efficiencies and allowing people to focus more on what they should be focusing on. It's the community influence, which is why, to me, top of mind, at least on a trial basis, TIF could be a source of funding. TIF had approved the hiring of a economic development specialist to $40,000 a year is what they committed previously.
They never used it.
Never used it,
Couldn't fill it, couldn't find it.
For how long? For a year? They were
The
gonna.
40,000 was committed, and there was no discussion about it. It was about, let's go find somebody to do this, and you just couldn't find anybody to do that. So I think
Do you think we'll be able to find someone to do this?
you can, I think the biggest obstacle to this would be like your outside normal hours commitment.
Mhm.
Because what it's gonna do is it's gonna allow me to work, I mean, obviously I'll still have to work outside, but Now, I'm gonna do more of the business hours where I can focus on people when they come to the door. It's music nights, it's the school days, it's things like that. It's rec.
Mhm.
Where you're gonna wanna be present, so it's a lot of the evenings, but it's got the potential to be a really fun and flexible job for somebody, and I think that's unique. You kind of make it what you want to.
As far as compensation, I'd be curious about things like cell phone, laptop. I'm assuming they'd work from home, like, do they have, are we providing some like work from home funding, you know what I mean, for like a desk or?
I think we
You
do
know
want
what I
to be
mean?
here with you, like, I mean, I suppose you could like on your phone or whatever, we do some, but like, I feel like you want to be here as a resource for a lot of stuff, because we do have the space.
I think it would be a discussion with any close to final candidates as to
Yeah.
whether you offer a hybrid solution. I think a lot of what we're asking them to do is community engagement. It's really hard to do that from the upstairs spare bedroom.
Yeah.
But I do get the value of it. Like I can work from home.
Yeah.
But I probably work from home for 10 hours.
So do you
in the
picture
last
them
year.
working
I
out of
envision
here?
them working here,
Oh,
not
cool.
just in this building, but maybe they're working.
No,
at the
I
fire
picture them
department, you know?
out all the time,
They're
but
gonna
like,
have an iPad. and a
when it
laptop.
comes time to like work on the budget, like where do you see them and what are they using? Do you know what I mean?
I see them as like a pop-up kind of workstation where you want them to be comfortable with public works, interfacing with them. You want them to be here, probably more here than anywhere else.
Yeah.
Just from point of contact.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But, you know, if they set up and work for 6 hours in the snack shack on school,
Mhm.
that's, you know, so that's them using their
Yeah.
time.
Right.
If it's during practices or signups or picture nights, things like that, it really depending upon what they do. And it's gonna be non-traditional, it's not gonna be this full workspace, if you will.
I don't know, but I can imagine there'll be times where they want to like,
Well, I think when we start talking about the marketing or your business development stuff, that's when you're gonna see it more remote.
could be here, I just didn't.
That
I didn't know we had
40,000 is set aside, could you, couldn't that be transferred towards that?
Well, that would be my ask. Once we're done navigating this, if this board supports it, I'm going to approach the TIF committee and ask them what their thoughts are on it, if they think that a portion or all of it would be eligible for funding, and then start to connect those dots. I think there's a very strong case that a position like this would benefit economic development. So if you could fund the position 40 or 50% from TIF, that's zero impact to your bottom line and the tax rate.
So do you need a motion or anything at this point, or?
No, but
Okay.
I would really, really, really appreciate it if everybody took the pages out of the book and took them home with them, or go back and redo your emails.
Just make some adjustments, add notes, sort
If
of.
there are things that you want to see in there, to say, I don't like it. You know, just send me a note in a couple weeks so we can revisit this. So it's productive.
That's exciting.
Yeah, that is. That's-
I think it might, we had a hard time trying to fill just the economic development. I think this might take that kind of, maybe someone who would have been great at that, but they kind of, I've never done that before, where it's other things, I think it's gonna naturally kind of coincide with it. I think, I'm hoping it opens up the door for more people to feel.
So one of the things
Exciting.
with the economic development was the real focus on grants,
Mhm.
right? So I can do grants. This allows me then to go out and secure things like the $2.5 million that we're able to get from the federal government.
Sure.
And the above and beyond, as opposed to going out and soliciting $5,000 for a parks project, which is wonderful. But,
Is it the best use of time and the best return on the investment?
Correct.
Sure, yeah. that makes
so I
sense to
think
me.
it's a matter of the economic development could be intimidating for all of us, whereas this really, I think, is a fun position.
For sure.
Seems like it would be, right?
And for someone like, and where it is so flexible, someone that might have other commitments as well, so we can still make it.
Right.
So-
Mike's in. There we go.
I'm
You
your
allowed to be here, kids, I don't know.
He's the next one there.
I can't imagine why that
I mean, as kid, maybe.
You know
but
why
I
he
don't know.
Yes, yes, I do.
Yes,
Okay.
from an economic development
Yes.
standpoint, it used to get rid of those speed humps.
Oh, okay, number.
Sorry, yeah, to Chuck's point, it is worth noting, a little very disinforming, that when the fire department started with their first full-time employees, it was by a vote of the town. So if that's how this board would like to proceed with that, you do have the option to put that question out there.
It was a lot more expensive though. I feel like that, wasn't it like 90 or 100 grand, like just to start off?
Right,
Yeah,
right,
that was.
I get that, but, you know, the chief
But
makes it.
Yeah. there's another meeting to talk about that. right?
Yeah, we could, yeah, I would say if we can nail this down. a
I
little
can't
closer,
imagine
it's,
they're gonna go
And-
for it, 'cause I can't imagine.
This,
Then
yeah, we're jumping the shark from like, we know that our current person that's handling all of our rec stuff has been a great bargain, has done way more than what she should be doing for the amount of money she's been charging the town, but she is transitioning out, so it's not like this is I mean, we are reimagining and restructuring all this, but at the end of the day, we still have to replace that position with somebody else, so there is sort of like it's all kind of swirling and swirling
who's
together.
been doing it? A lot of it?
Bobby Joe.
Oh.
Bobby Joe Welch, yep. I know that.
She does an amazing job, but wish we would keep her, but like, you know,
She's
she's
done a
gonna go
lot,
and she's
too, yeah.
an integral part of, I mean, it wouldn't run without her, so I mean, there has to be someone who's gonna replace that, and no one is going to do the job that she's done for what we're paying her. So we do have to replace that position, and it seems like a good opportunity to like figure out what else that position can do, because we do already have to replace it, so we didn't have any full-time firefighters before, so like, I get that, but this, we do have a paid position, we're just gonna make it like more paid,
And
that's,
I'm curious to see how Tiff feels about funding it, so
Yeah.
we'll see where all that comes in and then decide what the board thinks about whether we decide or the entire town. But yeah. Okay, number 13, other business. The board, anything for other business? I have nothing.
The only other thing I did notice down at Martin Street. Cause somebody's been doing,
Oh,
On the regular.
on the regular.
We've gone down there twice to straighten it out, so it's not so bad, but it's gonna, I don't think you got.
Yeah, no, any part on Madison, the ball fields, you get the
Yeah.
same thing time after
Yeah.
so
time.
maybe like buy signs to stop being a wanker, drive like.
Right.
There might be a chance to use those other things we talked about
Oh,
last
yeah,
week,
'cause
depending on how they are.
Right.
they haven't done it
Figure out
like
who
yet.
that is and then.
My field, they used a mud run before.
Oh, yeah.
Stove it all time, yeah.
Yeah.
Not,
Hard to stop.
yeah, so Jesus, yeah.
I got a sign.
Yeah, I know,
Yes,
yeah.
I've seen that
Honestly,
sign.
like sometimes if you just make it a little snarky, I feel like it gets a point where it's like, don't be that guy that ruins it for everybody and just stick it up there and be like, we're talking to you.
More direct than that.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're gonna-
Again, I mean, is this where we vote for Mike to take the rep position?
Okay, well, we're gonna go into number 14, executive session to discuss labor negotiations. So nice to see everybody.
I vote to go into executive session.
Motion, second, any discussion, seeing none, all those in favor, that's everybody.
We are going to pause.
Did you ever find
recording.
anything else?
We will be back
I sent
on
it back
later.
to Lieutenant Knight to give back to